Hey, I'm Bill Burrows. Welcome to Be the Church. Obedience seems to be a bad word in our society today, but to Jesus, it's a really good word. To be a disciple of Jesus, it's essential to have a life-giving conversation with Jesus each and every day. To get everything we can out of our conversations, there are 5 choices we need to be aware of. We can choose to open our souls or stay closed off. When we focus on a simple, clear, direct command, we choose to listen. Telling Jesus how we really feel is a choice that can make the conversation. Will we trust Jesus and surrender or look elsewhere for life? Which brings us to choice number 5, to obey or not to obey. That is the question. In Luke chapter 6, Jesus confronts a problem found in every Christian today, especially me. He says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I tell you? Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you what he is like. He is like a man building a house, who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood arose, the stream broke against that house and could not shake it, because it had been well built." But what if I don't do what he says? But the one who hears and does not do them is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the stream broke against it, immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. I've experienced this firsthand. I've witnessed lots of pain and sorrow in the lives built on hearing God but not doing what he says. How can we make sure we're doing and not just hearing? Well, if we respect with smart actions, we will know when we obey Jesus and when we don't. It's an acronym, SMART. The S represents specific actions. They're direct, detailed, and meaningful. Jesus said in John 15, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Remain in me." That's a clear command to stay connected to Jesus. For my response to this command to be specific, it helps to answer these questions. Who? Who's involved in this? Jesus and myself. What? Well, I'm going to engage in a life-giving conversation with Jesus. Where? I'm going to do it at home in my office. How am I going to do this? Well, I want to put my best focused and my best energy to this task. The M represents measurable actions. These are quantifiable and can be tracked to monitor success. I will stay connected to Jesus by having a focused conversation for at least 15 minutes each day this week. Now, that statement is measurable. It deals with quantity and consistency. But what if I wanted to track quality? Am I giving my best to Jesus? Or am I rushing through the 15 minutes? Or am I distracted by the chaos in and around me? So if I wanted to track this quality, I could use a scale from 1 to 10 to rate my full engagement, to hold myself accountable. A represents attainable. These are realistic and require us to have the tools to complete them. Is it realistic to say that I can be all in and focused on Jesus for 15 minutes every day for the next 7 days? Sure, I think that's realistic. I could do that. Maybe some of you can't at this time. How about I might need also some tools like a Bible to listen to Jesus or a notebook to record my commitments. How about a plan or a script to follow when talking to him? Well, stay tuned because we're working on those. R represents relevant actions. These align with God's specific command you have chosen to obey. So for us, investing 15 minutes a day connecting to Jesus fits our example. T represents time-based actions. These have a time frame and completion date. Now, I could say I'm going to have a conversation with Jesus for 15 minutes a day, every day for the rest of my life. And yes, that would be really good. But let's start a little bit smaller than that. Remember, it needs to be attainable. I give you permission and even encourage you to start really small. Why? Because we want to get wins. When we obey Jesus, even in a very small way, it's a win. Small wins over time make a big impact. In fact, I believe it would be better to give God everything you have for 30 seconds a day for 30 days than to pray one day for 15 minutes. The difference between motion and action. These thoughts are inspired by James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. I would encourage you to pick that book up, read it, and put it into practice. Motion is when you listen to a talk on prayer at church. Action is when you talk to Jesus for 1 minute. Motion is when you read a book about praying for your friends. Action is when you pray for your friends for 1 minute. Motion is when you do a Bible study on the word obey. Action is when you obey a command by smartly doing what it says. We invite you to join us in this commitment. Say this with us. I will stay connected to Jesus within at least 1 minute conversation every day for the next 7 days. Jesus, remind us and enable us to follow through on this commitment. To join our community and keep up to date, follow us at Play Story Eat on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Next up, how can we become what we were created to be?